With winter looming ahead and supply chain worries growing as tariffs and government shutdowns continue to impact systems, it's a good time to get your preps in order. We're taking inventory, stocking up, and filling gaps. What have you done for your prepper pantry lately? Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm sharing a prepper pantry haul. Stick around to see what preps we're adding to our stash. A little later in the video, I'm going to try out and taste test some of these new items and let you know what I think of them. So be sure to stay tuned for that. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that when the you-know-what hits the fan, it's always something we never expected when we least expect it. And we're never as prepared as we think we are. So a good time to let your guard down is never. We've also learned a good prepper pantry isn't just a stack of beans and rice under the basement stairs or stuck in the back of your closet. It's a well-planned and regularly rotated stockpile of things you'll actually eat and supplies you'll actually use. With winter ahead, take stock, review, replace, update, and add so you'll be ready to take care of your family no matter what happens. Check out our latest additions for things you might not have thought of or maybe never even saw before. Let's jump in. I'm going to start right over here with some of this stuff. So this is a little tool that is, you can see how small it is, probably about 3 inches long. And it's got a carabiner here that will clip onto something. And then it actually, if you push this little button, it flips right out, and this is a little cutting tool that would be useful for opening packages or all sorts of different things that this could be useful for. It's not sharp here, but it is very sharp here and here. So this I thought would be a really useful tool to have, like on my keychain, have with me at all times. I'm always having to open packages and cut things and things like that. So, and it's got, can't really do it one-handed, but if you push the button down, then I can close it like that. This is the little button right here. So super handy little tool. And then I've got this light. I found this when I was looking around. You can never have too many lights. So this is a very small light. It has a clip here that you could wear on a belt or a pocket or even a ball cap. This clip actually also comes out like this on a hinge, so you can use it like a stand. Of course, it also has a magnet built in. It has a little bottle opener built into this part right here, and it's got 2 different lights on it. So it's got a regular flashlight beam here that is adjustable. It can go either way. And then it's got this part, which is another light, which is a cob light, which stands for, I believe, chips on board. So it's an ultra bright type of LED light. And I'll show you how the lights work. So this is the little switch right here on the side. So this is a pretty bright flashlight out the front, just a handy little flashlight. And then if you push it again, the ultra bright cob light comes on the front. And then it has a few dimness modes, and it has a red light and a flashing red light. So this is something that could be handy if you were walking in the dark or you needed to signal some sort of emergency. It also has this little thing here that you could hang it on something. So I thought this was a really handy little light, and I was excited to find it. I love to have all different sorts of lights. And next I've got this, which is a little portable drinking water straw. It's like a little portable water filter. You can see it's good to last for 5 years. You can write the date right on it. It's important to have these in probably all of your vehicles, all of your bags, bug out bags, get home bags, anything like that, and just have around because they take up very little space. I will open this up and show you what it looks like inside. You can see it's very small. This is just about the size of a Sharpie, like a magic marker. And this could stash anywhere, and it could be very important in emergencies. So definitely cars, bug out bags, things like that. If you don't have a lot of space in your house for a larger water filter, these could be used in the house as well. There doesn't even have to be an emergency going on. I have seen plenty of people whose town has announced for some reason their drinking water isn't safe. It's happened to towns right around us lately. So this is a really important thing to have. I will have a link down below where you can get a really good deal on a whole bunch of these if that is something that you need to add to your preps. You can see you just pop the lid off, and there is the little mouthpiece. That's where you drink from it, and super simple to use, and they're really important if you have Christmas stockings or that you're going to be stuffing this year or anything like that. For anybody, you know, teens on up, this is a great thing to stick in there. And next I've got this box of Travel John. So these are disposable. They're like the little urinals that you can, you know, have along with you. These are great to have in the car. These are disposable. So You just use them. They have something in it to absorb, the liquid, and then you can just seal them up and throw them away. This is a little bit of the details, but you never know when you're going to run into an emergency, especially in your vehicle, especially with winter coming up. We've seen all sorts of stories of people who are stuck on a highway in a storm for, 24 hours or more. So I thought this would be a great thing to keep in our vehicles. And then this is kind of along the similar lines. So this is called emergency panties. So this is a little package. I haven't gotten into it yet, but you can see that it contains a pair. It says they're reusable, but it's got a pair of extra panties, a pair of a panty liner, a hygienic wipe, and a little bag. And so, this is basically meant for females. I'm a female. I have girls, teen girls. So this is going to be something, I think this is just one set. And this is going to be something that's going to be great to have tucked into, school gear, vehicle kits, lots of different things like that. And next here, this is some freeze-dried food, but this is actually free samples that I wanted to tell you about that you can order. This is from Harvest Right. So if you're looking at maybe ever getting a Harvest Right freeze dryer, or you just want to try some freeze-dried food, they have this sample pack. Now it came with all of these. This is a meal, a chicken Alfredo meal. And then it's got mango smoothie bites. And then it's got bananas, pineapple, and ice cream sandwich bites. And these are all things that have been freeze-dried in a Harvest Right freeze dryer so that you can try some of the different foods that, you can do in a freeze dryer, in a home freeze dryer. And so this is a sample pack that they are giving for free. You just have to pay shipping. And I think the shipping was like $6.99. It's really reasonable for what you get. You're getting a meal here, a couple of fruits, a dessert, and a snack. So I thought that was a really good opportunity I wanted to share with everybody. So I'll have a link for that down below as well. Next, I've got this, which is just a pack of ponchos. So it's just like the plastic ponchos. I think these are a little bit higher quality than like what you'd pick up at Dollar Tree, but they're definitely not like a high quality poncho. They're just something, you can see how thin these are. You could stash these anywhere. These are great to stash in your vehicle. So if you needed, just to cover up in the rain and you didn't have anything else, you would have this to put them in your backpack. So if you needed to cover up your gear, you would have something. So this is a multi-pack of probably about 6 of them. I can't remember, but I will try to link them down below. And then this one right here is a little bit different, same lines. This has an emergency poncho that is made out of a different material. So this is a set. It had 4 of the emergency ponchos and I think 6 of these emergency blankets. This was kind of just like a combo pack. I actually bought it for these ponchos and it happened to come with the blankets, which are handy. You can stash those anywhere. I have plenty of them. I didn't really need them now, but I'm sure we'll use them eventually. So you can see the emergency poncho. This is made of the same type of material inside as the emergency blanket, which is like a mylar material that will reflect your body heat. So these can actually save your life in, a cold weather emergency. If you're stranded somewhere and it's very cold, this can keep you from dying of hypothermia and freezing to death. The poncho is really kind of nice because this is something that you can wear if you have to be moving, or even if you're not moving, it's going to keep your head covered and it's going to keep your body covered without having to keep yourself wrapped in it. So you could kind of sit down and huddle up and be underneath of this poncho. It's a lot easier than one of the blankets. And it's pretty thin. It's a little bit less thin than the blanket, but it's a pretty thin little package that you could stash just about anywhere to be prepared no matter what. This is another item that would make really good stocking stuffer gifts as we get closer to the holidays, or just a gift of any time to give to people you care about. Back here, of course, I have got a couple of these mega packs, value packs, 36 mega rolls. Toilet paper needs no explanation. Don't ever let yourself run short on toilet paper. We try to keep at least 6 months to a year supply at all times. And that means replacing a pack whenever you use a pack. If you're trying to build your supply, use 1 pack, buy 2 packs. And I also have a pack of flushable wipes up here because that can be used as a toilet paper substitute or an add-on to toilet paper. It's just another great thing to have in your preps. And then I've got some different powdered ingredients here. So I use these for a lot of like meals in a jar. They're just good to have on hand because they're shelf-stable versions that you can use to replace a lot of these things. Greek yogurt powder is one I have not tried before. I just got this so I can start working with this. I have some plans for it for meals in a jar and things. This Judy's is a good brand that I've used quite a bit of Judy's stuff, and I always really like it. This is Judy's sour cream powder. I have not tried Judy's sour cream powder before. I have always used Thrive Life, and I have tried a couple of other brands. Hoosier Hill Farms is one I've tried that I did not like. It was much too tangy for my taste, and I like things tangy. But now that Thrive Life isn't available, I'm looking for a new substitute and something that will hopefully work equally the same in my meal in a jar recipes so that I can give people a substitution if we have new members of the community who come along to try my recipes and don't have these things on hand. So I bought this one to try and compare. I'll probably try a few other brands as well. If you have favorite brands you've used that you've liked or not liked, then let me know down in the comments. I would love to have your input. And then cream cheese powder. This one I have used. This I'm just replacing. This is a great way to add creaminess to any recipe that would use cream cheese, or even some recipes that wouldn't. You can use this just for that creamy touch. I was a little bit thrown seeing this red bag. Most of the times when I've bought Judy's, it's been in a blue bag, so maybe they're just changing their packaging. I'm not really sure. And then I've got this little can of chicken stock powder. Now, I found this when I was looking for an MSG-free bouillon. I am not really bothered by MSG, nor is anyone in my family, so we don't really try to avoid it, but I know some people do, and I had a lot of people asking for an MSG-free bouillon substitute or an MSG-free bouillon option when they were making my Campbell soup copycat soup mix recipes. So I looked a few up to be able to give some recommendations, but I really don't like recommending things if I haven't tried them. So I thought I would buy this and try it and see how it is so I could really kind of let people know and not just blindly make the recommendation. This can was a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. It was very reasonably priced, but I understood why it was so reasonably priced when I saw the size of the can. I assumed the can was much larger from the way it looked on Amazon, but that's fine. It wasn't very expensive, and I'm excited to try this so I can be able to recommend it or not recommend it. And this is along the same lines. This is a chicken bone broth powder. So this is, I actually was going to try to do a keto version of my cream of chicken soup mix and cream of mushroom. So I was looking for healthier versions like a chicken bone broth powder. This did not come in time for me to work with it, but I'm going to be working with it in the future. The thing is, this is literally just chicken bone broth, and it's fairly low in sodium. So it's not going to have a lot of salt added. So it's not going to have a lot of the flavor. A lot of the flavor in a chicken bouillon comes from salt. Of course, if you can't have salt, then this might be good, but you're not going to get the flavor you expect necessarily unless you're used to a product like this. But it could be used and add salt on your own so that you can kind of get the amount of saltiness that you need. Something to think about, whether we're stocking our prepper pantry or just buying our everyday essentials, every dollar we spend supports someone or something. People are taking a hard look these days at what their dollars are supporting. Many of us are tired of our dollars supporting giant conglomerates who seem to have no conscience and don't care about us consumers beyond the dollars we bring in. We want to support family businesses, American manufacturing, American-made products, and companies that align with our values whenever possible. There are some areas where that's really hard to do, and it sometimes seems like nothing we do can make a difference. I'm by no means perfect, and I definitely don't have it all figured out, but I believe in making small changes where we can. Small changes can multiply and make a big impact. I found a way to make a difference with the way I spend my dollars, taking a bit of market share away from the big foreign-owned companies by switching where I buy some of the everyday items that we use all the time and even stock in our prepper pantry. One simple switch to a family-owned American manufacturer that supports American families and does things the right way and has for years. A company that's privately owned and never going to sell out. It feels good, and it actually makes my life easier also, getting so many necessities delivered right to my doorstep rather than having to go out and deal with the big box stores all the time. If this sounds like something that you could get behind, I've got a link down below where you can find out more about making the switch for your family. I'll also put a QR code on the screen because I've heard from a lot of you that have had a hard time accessing the video description. Let's start taking a stand against the corporate giants who send everything overseas and start a return to supporting America. I know many of you are right there with me. Now let's get back to this haul. All right, let's go up here and work our way down. I've got some different freeze-dried items up here. Freeze-dried food is the gold standard when it comes to prepping. It's got the longest shelf life and it's got the highest nutrient retention, and it really keeps the quality closest to fresh that you're gonna get. So that's why freeze-dried food is so in demand and why people want it so much. These are a few items from Ready Harvest. Now, freeze-dried red onions, I was really excited about this. I have never had freeze-dried red onions before, and I am always looking for different ingredients to work with. And then, of course, I've got the freeze-dried celery. That was one of the things that Thrive Life discontinued, that we had been looking for sources for, and it's actually kind of hard to find. I guess celery is not that popular of a vegetable. So I believe this one, I have tried a sample of it. I believe this one is in very small dices, so it would be really great for something like chicken salad. But for something like stew, I prefer bigger slices, but you know, this would be better than nothing. Now, one thing Ready Harvest is known for is filling their cans to the top. I learned something interesting talking to the owner of the company. The weights that you see on the can, of course, you always hear that things are filled by weight and not volume, and that's why your cans aren't always full, or your bags of chips or anything else that's filled that way. But what I learned is that they put a weight on here, and most companies are going to put a conservative weight. So if they have something that's bulkier, they have to be able to put that weight in the can. They can't put less than the weight that's indicated on the can. However, they can put more. So what Ready Harvest does is they put a weight that's conservative, and then they overfill it. They make sure that they are never going to underfill it, but they fill it right to the top. So when you get your cans, they're pretty full. There might be a little bit of settling that happens after they're filled and sealed. So there might be a little bit of space at the top, but they're very full, which is nice because a lot of brands don't have that. I also got a Ready Harvest instant milk to try because I am looking for another replacement for Thrive Life's instant milk. So I got this one to try along with a few other brands. I got this country cream to try, which was recommended to me by someone. And I actually have tried this country cream. It had some differences physically to Thrive Life's milk, but the measurements were the same and the taste was really pretty close. But I'm going to be doing a little bit more extensive testing on different milks, and I'll probably do a video on that. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. I get my Ready Harvest food from a site called Thrivalist, and they have more than just food. They have some preparedness gear, but they also have education and classes. And that is really an important part of preparedness. So I'm going to have a link where you can go and check that out. The next class is going to be on Tuesday, October 7th, and it's on sanitation and emergencies and making DIY toilets and composting and things that are really important and often overlooked. People don't really think about it enough until it's too late. That's just part of the education that's offered. For these monthly classes, there's either a low monthly fee or there's a fee you can have for the year, and you get access to all the past classes. But I actually have a way that you can get these for free. If you sign up for their referral program, it's called their connector program. It's free to join, it's free to sign up, and all of the connectors get free access to these classes. So I'll have a link down below where you can check that out, whether you're interested in just having the classes to purchase or whether you're interested in being able to get them for free. I'll have that all down below for you. Down here, I've got a few cans of Campbell's split pea with ham and bacon. I actually picked these up because, I mean, I like split pea soup, but I would typically make it from scratch. But somebody asked in a comment on my video about the DIY Campbell's soup mixes if I could do a split pea with ham and bacon, copycat. And so I thought I would give it a shot probably, but I would need to have a few soups to taste and try and kind of have to begin to work with and see what they use for ingredients. And I mean, split pea soup is pretty simple to make, but if I'm trying to copy the Campbell's, I want to know exactly what I'm going for. Back here, I've got a few items that I got from Azure Standard. If you're not familiar with Azure Standard, they're a great company with great quality standards for all of their products. They have a lot of natural and organic items, and they're just a great company to buy from. They do drops, so you can order something to a drop near your home, and you just go pick it up when the truck comes. And it's a really great way to get a whole lot of stuff. It's like a gigantic health food store, online. They have items I've never seen before, and they also have really great prices when I compare to other stores. This is a blue butterfly pea flower powder. So this is from these blue flowers. You can grow them in your own garden, but you can also just buy this powder and you can use it as a natural food coloring. It's brilliant, brilliant blue. And the other cool thing about it is that if you put like lemon juice in it, it will turn that magenta pink color. So it's always nice to have, natural options to color things with. And blue is a hard one to find, really brilliant in nature, but this is a great way to do it. I also got some more nutritional yeast from Azure Standard. We use this a lot. It's got a lot of health benefits. It got a lot of protein, a lot of B vitamins. It's really great for you. It's good for your animals, all sorts of things. So we put this on and in a lot of foods. I also use this in things like those Campbell soup mixes to give it kind of a savory umami kind of flavor without using some other ingredients that are less healthy. So I needed to restock. So I got this 1 pound bag from Azure. And then I also got these couple of things from this Trace company, which is like Trace Minerals. They have a lot of good stuff. And this is a colloidal silver spray, which is going to be really good to have. And then this is boron drops. So this is like a mineral supplement. And boron is something that we learned about a couple of years ago. Mr. Wicked Prepared was having terrible, terrible, terrible pain in his feet, across the tops of his feet. Like it made it even very difficult for him to do anything really. And somehow we stumbled across using boron, and he started using boron and it went away and it was amazing. And so it has a lot of benefits. Of course, you should always, research and look into anything that you're going to take and talk to your doctor. But this is something that I wanted to grab to have on hand. And then I also got this from Azure Standard. This is a book. So they have a lot of things besides just food. I tend to think of them as just a food place, natural foods, but they have all kinds of things. So I was able to get a deal on this book. It was on sale. They have a section where they list all their things that are on sale. So this is Fire Cider by Rosemary Gladstar. This is a pretty well-known book. Fire cider is kind of like a natural antibiotic kind of drink. It's got things like garlic and onions and hot peppers and horseradish and things like that. And it's all in apple cider vinegar, and it makes a really good natural remedy. So this has a lot of different recipes for different types. So I just have been looking at this book for a long time. When I saw it on sale at Azure, I thought it would be a good thing to just grab to have because I'd been wanting to get my hands on it. There's plenty of recipes online for fire cider, and there's so many different variations, but there's a lot of basic recipes you can find. This is just going to have a lot of different options. I've got a few little kitchen-y things here. These are 1/8 of a cup measures. I get this set of 4. I've bought this once or twice before. There's 2 long-handled and 2 short-handled. I use an 1/8 of a cup measure a lot, and for some reason, maybe it's because I multiply and divide recipes a lot, and most of my measuring cup sets do not come with this size. I also, if I have anything that I scoop regularly with, this 1/8 of a cup, which is the same as 2 tablespoons, I would like to have a scoop to leave in there. And this stainless steel is, healthier to have around than plastic. So I grabbed another set of these because I use them so much. And then I also wanted some little teeny whisks like this. My grandmother used to have a really tiny whisk like this, and I've really been missing using it. And so I thought I'd look for one for myself. And I actually found this set of 2. They're slightly different sizes, and they are really handy for mixing up little dishes of sauce or dressing or, small batches of seasoning mixes and things like that. They're really handy for small jobs. Then I got this. It's a set of 4, and they're mini Sharpies with a keychain attachment. So you could attach this onto your keychain or anything like that. I always have Sharpies on hand. They're very useful for lots of things. And I like when I can attach something to like a keychain or hook it onto my purse or something and just know I always have it. So I grabbed these. Got this thing of citric acid. This is also sometimes known as sour salt, and it can be used as an ingredient in foods to give it tang. You need very little. Or it can be used in things like skincare and all sorts of different things you can use citric acid for. I've got some more freeze-dried foods back here. I got Mirepoix, which is a blend of carrots, onion, and celery. I use this a lot. I love Mirepoix. And I'm getting ready to make a bunch of soups and stews, meals in a jar to get ready for winter. And so I needed to grab another container of the Mirepoix. I've really come around to buying freeze-dried food in bags as opposed to cans. I've been used to cans for so long. I'm finding some really good benefits to the bags. They hold a lot more than I thought that they did when I actually got them. I noticed I'll never have a dented can, which was such an issue with ordering freeze-dried food in cans. These do not dent. The food does not rattle around inside, so it doesn't break down and get powdery. It's really great. The only thing you need to watch for with bags is keeping them protected from light. So you'd want to keep this inside of someplace dark. And the other thing is just making sure that you keep them protected from mice. So we would usually keep things like this in a heavy duty tote, and that protects from both of those things. A few other things I got some freeze-dried elbow macaroni. So this is cooked and then freeze-dried. So this is going to be great for like a backpacking style meals where you just pour the boiling water in and just let it sit, and that's how you cook it. I love making little meals like that, little emergency meals, kind of like the Mountain House meals you would buy. So I got another bag of this. I have some already, but when I work with developing recipes, depending on how the recipe goes and how the filming goes and all of that, I sometimes can go through quite a bit of ingredients, repeating the recipe over and over. So I need to make sure I have plenty on hand. Otherwise I get to working with it and I run out and then I'm frustrated and I have to wait to order more. So I also got freeze-dried salsa. We tried this and it's really, really good. And Mr. Wicked Prepared loves it. And I'm also going to be using this as an ingredient in some soups. Then I've got freeze-dried corned beef. Corned beef is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. So I always want to make sure that we can have access to this. Even if it's an emergency, the power's out. We don't have the grocery store. We don't have the freezer. So this is fully cooked corned beef, but they also sell uncooked meat, which this is actually a really good thing to have in your prepper pantry. So this is sirloin steaks, uncooked sirloin steaks. So you can bring these back with cold water, soak them in cold water, and then you could actually cook up basically a fresh steak after that instead of having just meat that's already been cooked and then freeze dried. This company has technology that nobody else has to be able to safely freeze dry larger pieces of meat and to do the raw meat. This is the kind of stuff that's really, really going to bump up your prepper pantry to a whole new level. Next, I've got some freeze-dried fruits here in these bags. And these bags, I don't know if you can tell how gigantic these bags are. You don't usually see freeze-dried food in bags this big. Here's my hand. They're really, really big. We've got two raspberries and 2 mangoes because we really, really like the mangoes. These are from Wise Harvest. I will have a link down in the description for you. These are really, really, really high quality. Everything that they sell is. Freeze-dried fruits like these are important to have in our prepper pantry because, number one, they're so nutritious, and most of us wouldn't be able to have these fruits if we weren't able to get them from the grocery store. Things like mangoes, I can't grow these here. Raspberries, I could find wild here or even grow myself, but it would be a very limited time of the year that I'd be able to have them. So they're great to have in the prepper pantry just for those emergency times, but they're also really good for things like snacking on. They're a really healthy snack. Kids love them. They've got a ton of nutrition. You can even grind them up into powder and use them to color your foods and different things naturally. So they're really, really a great thing to have on hand. Now you can see the difference here between the size of the bag. So that is an 8-ounce bag. This is a 1-ounce bag. This is dragon fruit. So you can see the size difference in these bags. And one thing I wanted to point out, because people tend to think that there's not a lot of food in the bags of freeze-dried food. Well, this bag contains 8 ounces. These bags are all 8-ounce bags. They contain 8 ounces or more of the food. So if you look at a can of Thrive Life raspberries, this is a number 10 can. So this is like a gallon-sized can. And this contained 7.61 ounces. So there's actually more in this bag than there is in a number 10 can. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Next, I've got this little travel case. I love little cases like this. I'll show you what I like about this one. You open it up with Velcro, and it's got 3 individual pockets that can all rip out one by Velcro if you want. And it's got this flat pocket here, these 3 pockets, and it's got 2 more of these flat pockets here. Now, I'm sure this is meant for makeup, but I think this can be used for a lot of different things. Little preparedness kits, little first aid kits, something to send, with one of your kids to school or camp or something like that. Lots of different things that this could be used for. So I really, really like this little case, and I'm always buying little cases like this to have on hand for when I do need to build out a kit or, put something together. I have lots of different options to put things into. Back here, I've got a bunch of different mac and cheeses. Everybody loves mac and cheese. It's a good thing to have in your prepper pantry. There's a couple different types. So these are the Velveeta the ones that have the packet of cheese that's already liquid. You don't need milk or butter. I actually found these on sale at Target for half price and they're the buffalo and pizza flavored. They're different flavors. So they were $1.49. So I grabbed a bunch because I figured we'd probably like them. But what I realized when I got them is that the seasoning is a separate little packet. It's just a regular box of Velveeta shells and cheese with a separate packet of seasoning. So for that price, honestly, if I'd have known that, it's just like getting the regular Velveeta shells and cheese half price with an extra packet of seasoning. So if you don't like it, you just don't put the packet in. But however, the Great Value copycat brand of, the deluxe mac and cheese is only $1.50 anyways. So is it a great deal? Depends on if you value getting the Velveeta brand or if you really like that seasoning. They do have the benefit of not needing milk or butter or any additional ingredients. So for emergencies, that's really good. However, those cheese packets don't last quite as long as the powders usually. So it's a toss-up. I also got a really good deal on this, which is the barbecue flavor of Kraft mac and cheese, which we did try in a past video, and it was really tasty. So I thought for the price, I would get a bunch more. And then these were all something that just popped up because I was looking at mac and cheese for some reason. So these are macaroni, so they're related to rice-aroni, but these are Simply Pure Deliciousness. I think these were also on sale, or maybe I grabbed them because they were just something new I'd never seen, and I like to try new things. These do call for milk and butter, but the Simply Pure Deliciousness means they have no artificial flavors and no artificial colors from what I could see. They have annatto extract and turmeric extract for coloring, and I really don't see any bad flavorings in there. And this one is white cheddar, so it probably doesn't have any colorings at all. And then this last one, Seriously Sharp, Cabot Seriously Sharp. I love this kind of cheese. So I'd never seen this mac and cheese before. I just thought it was something that we might want to try because we really like that kind of cheese. So just some new things to try there. Good for emergencies, but also not bad to have on hand if you need just a really quick side dish or a really quick little meal, especially when you have teenagers like I do. I got a pack of these Mexican street corn white rice. So these are already cooked rice. They're already cooked, seasoned, everything. You just have to microwave them to warm them up. If it's an emergency, you can absolutely do them in a pan. I have done that before. I've also put these types of packets into recipes, like made casseroles with them and stuff, and then just baked them. So lots of things you can do with this. And in an emergency, it's really good to have them already cooked so you don't need water and you don't need a whole lot of fuel to cook them. Just heat them up. Then I've got one pack of batteries. This is from Amazon. These are D batteries, and there are 24. I found that getting batteries by the case from Amazon is one of the best places to get them price-wise, and I haven't had any issues with the quality of the batteries. Definitely, it's a good time of year to double-check your battery stash and stock up if you need to. Over here, I've got some seasonings. I love seasonings. I think it's really important to have in your prepper pantry because you want to be able to season your food and make lots of different meals so you don't get sick of eating the same thing over and over again. If you have some basics and then you have different seasonings, you can make lots of different meals. This was something really interesting. This is not like a powdered seasoning, but I just stumbled across these. I was looking at Chipotle chili powder, and I stumbled across this. It's a packet of like pepper paste. So this is Chipotle with adobo. And they had two other varieties as well that I'm going to be trying, but it only really came in a 6-pack. I think if it came in a smaller pack, then it was ridiculously overpriced. So I got a 6-pack. So I do want to try the other flavors, but I didn't want to get them all at once because that would have cost quite a bit. So I'm going to spread them out over various months. So you'll probably see the other two flavors in upcoming hauls. This was another thing that I stumbled across that I'd never seen before. So it's like the garlic, the minced garlic in a jar that we use as a convenience item. But this is garlic, lemon, and basil, which sounded really good to me. It's a small jar, so it was inexpensive, and it's not a lot if we don't end up liking it. But I can't imagine. I think this would be really good in like a shrimp scampi. Lots of different dishes like that, seafood dishes, Italian dishes. I'm excited to try this. I'd never seen this before. And then, of course, the Chipotle chili powder, just for different recipes. I got a big bag of pecan halves. This is something that I love having nuts around for snacks. We also use them for baking and different recipes, but they're a good snack to have in the prepper pantry if it's something you eat and can rotate through. Because of the fats, they can go rancid. but I usually can keep them on hand for at least a year. So I buy large amounts. We keep them in canisters, and I can just grab a handful and snack on it. It's a good keto snack. Pecans are pretty good for low carb, but we keep lots of different nuts on hand. This is just the one we needed to replace right now. Then I've got these boxes of pasta. So these are lower cal pasta. I have bought these before. These actually, they had a low, I buy these for myself. They had a lower carb pasta, one that's called low carb, but I believe I found that these low cal ones had less carbs than the low carb ones. And it's still got 12 grams of net carbs, which is kind of a lot for me, but that is for 1 cup of these noodles. And I bought these mostly to use in like little individual serving soup jar meals. And so I won't be using a full cup. I'll be using very little of the actual noodles because they'll just be an ingredient in a soup, just so I can have some easy meals for myself during the winter. And so I'm not too concerned about it because it'll be many less carbs when I'm using less than a serving. They're super cute though too. They're like the little mini lasagna noodles, these ruffled things. Super, super cute. It was a pack of 6, which was the cheapest way to buy them, maybe the only way to buy them. They're still kind of expensive, but it's worth it to me to have something a little bit lower in carbs, lower in calories, and these are actually really high in fiber. They're 27 grams of fiber per serving. That's a lot. Next, I got a bunch of cornstarch. This is just kind of a restock. I use cornstarch for thickening different things, and I used quite a bit of it in my video that came out recently on the Campbell soup mixes. So I needed to do a restock. And I also got some arrowroot powder, which is something you can substitute for cornstarch if you are low carb. There's several different options that can be used, and I just needed to get some more of the arrowroot powder. I am going to be working on some lower carb versions of some of these recipes, so let me know if that's something you're interested in. And finally here, this is something new that I added to my kitchen. I have my regular salt cellar, so I keep, that's pepper on the top because it's the smaller one, and then salt on the bottom. It's just regular table salt in here. These are kind of handy because if you just want to add a pinch of salt or a little bit of salt to something, you can just open it, pinch, and go. It usually has a spoon up here, but it's not on here right now. It's getting cleaned, but it's just a handy way to just have salt and pepper right available to throw into anything. But I have a lot of different salts. This is just regular table salt, but there's a lot healthier options for salts, and I like to have those available and handy too. So I got this, which is a 3-compartment salt cellar. So I actually labeled them so that I could remember what each one was. I'm going to label them better, but so I've got my Redmond's real salt in here, and then I've got a Baja Gold sea salt here, and then this one is a black lava sea salt or a black lava salt, and it actually has a lot of charcoal in it, so it's really good for like detox and stuff like that. So this way I've got these healthier salt options. Like this Baja Gold has a lot more minerals. The Redmond's real salt, we know that's a very healthy salt. So I have these options like easily available, so I can I'll be a lot more inclined to use them if they're easily available. So I just added this to my kitchen. This one does have its spoon on the top right now, so this is similar to the spoon that came with this one. But I really like having these in the kitchen. All right, now I'm going to try a few of these items and see how we like them if they're new to us. The first thing I want to try is these couple of chicken broth powders. So this one is a typical bouillon, basically like a typical bouillon, and this is a bone broth powder. This is MSG-free, but it does have a good amount of sodium. So this has 357 milligrams of sodium, which is 15.5%. So this calls for making it by adding 1 heaped teaspoon to 4 cups of hot water. Typically a bouillon, most typical bouillons use 1 teaspoon, 1 level teaspoon to 1 cup of hot water. So this is a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit difficult to mix up not knowing exactly how much you're supposed to have for 1 cup of broth for 8 ounces. This does say that it's GMO free and low FODMAP certified. And then this one is the bone broth powder. So the only ingredient is dried chicken bone broth. It only has 130 milligrams of sodium, which is 6%. 1 serving is 2 tablespoons, and that's for 8 ounces. So it's a much larger serving size of the powder to make a cup of broth than it is for this one. But let's give these a try. I'm going to mix up 1 cup of each in hot water so that I can just taste it like a sipping broth. That's usually how I taste test bouillons. So one thing I do notice is that this container makes 15 cups for this bag of bone broth powder. This little can makes 112 cups. So that is a big difference. This is a lot more concentrated than this one. And this one is it says it is suitable for vegans. So this is a chicken style. So this has no actual chicken in it. So that's going to be interesting. But probably pretty similar to Thrive Life's vegetarian chicken bouillon, which I actually really liked and was also MSG free. Now I do want to follow the instructions exactly. So for this one that calls for a heaping teaspoon of powder, I'm going to use a 4-cup measure because it calls for a heaping teaspoon for 4 cups of water. So I'm going to use my 4-cup measure so that I can follow the instructions exactly. I don't want to make a guess on how much powder I should use for a cup and then end up not liking it because then I wouldn't know if it was the powder or if it was the way that I made it. All right, my water is hot, so I'm going to go ahead and put a heaped teaspoon in this 4-cup measure. I don't like heaped measurements, scant measurements. I like it when they're even, just because a heaped teaspoon is probably going to be something different to each person. But I can adjust this just as I go. So I'm going to add 4 cups of water to this. It smells pretty good and chickeny. I'm going to go ahead and stir this, and I've got a separate spoon for each bouillon. That way I can use the spoons to take a little taste, and I won't be transferring any flavors back and forth. All right, now I'm going to mix up the other one. So for this one, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of powder to 1 cup of water. All right, so there's 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. This one doesn't smell quite as inviting as the other one did. I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 cup of water and give this one a stir. Well, it definitely smells, you can smell the bones in this chicken bone broth. I mean, this is, you can see it's a little bit harder to dissolve. I might need to use something. It's definitely a lot darker. One thing to note with these two, that's a big significant difference between chicken bouillon or broth and chicken bone broth, is if you see on this chicken bone broth, 1 serving has 12 grams of protein. So that's one of the big benefits of bone broth. It's got the collagen, the protein. This bouillon has 0.1 grams of protein. So much, much less protein, basically insignificant protein in the bouillon or broth. And this bone broth has much higher protein. All right, this seems to have dissolved. Let's see if they've cooled enough for me to take a little taste. That actually tastes pretty decent. It tastes like chicken. It does not taste very salty, but it's not a bad flavor, and it's not a very, very weak flavor. You could definitely add salt to this to your taste. I guess that's kind of a benefit to it. And of course, this does not have MSG in it. Even though it's not really a bouillon, it is an MSG-free thing you could use as a substitute, especially if you can't have a lot of sodium. So it's got a good savory flavor, just not a lot of salt. Now let's try this one. This is the MSG-free and vegan chicken style stock powder. You can see this one's a lot more watery. There's a lot less substance to it, but it also had the interesting mixing instructions. That's got a good flavor. It's a little saltier. It's not very strong. Personally, I would want this a little bit stronger, but I think that could have to do with the mixing and measuring instructions. It does have a decent flavor. I'm going to try to pour about a cup of this into a different container and add some more powder to it and see if I can't make it a little bit stronger. I'm going to try 1/4 teaspoon. That's a little bit better. This is more like a chicken broth that I would drink. So I think their mixing instructions are a little bit vague and a little bit off for how I would do this, but I would say more than 1/4 teaspoon for a cup, maybe 1/2 teaspoon, maybe a little less for 1 cup of water is a pretty good mixing, and this is actually pretty tasty. I would drink this as a chicken broth. I would use this as a chicken broth. This a little bit different. This is like more of a sweet flavor when you taste it in contrast with the salty, because it doesn't have all the salt. It's literally just the chicken carcass pretty much cooked in water and then dehydrated or made into powder somehow, dried. But it's not bad, and it's pretty flavorful, and I think you could adjust this with salt to your own needs, and this would be I don't notice how unsalty it is until I have it next to this one. But these are both good options, I think, to have on hand. This one, of course, because it calls for a lot more powder per cup of water, you'd have to adjust your recipes if you were using this in recipes. Because most bouillons call for 1 teaspoon of powder for a cup of water. And this one calls for 2 tablespoons. This one you'd adjust down a little bit. I don't think you'd want more than a half of a teaspoon per cup of water. So you would be able to use less. But if you need to have bouillon without MSG, or if you need to have less sodium, I think these are a couple of options that you could definitely check out. I think the most important thing to remember when you're looking at substitutes like these is that when you're tasting chicken bouillon, your typical commercial chicken bouillon, most of what you're tasting is salt. So most of the flavor is coming from salt with some other seasonings and a little bit of chicken in there sometimes. When you're tasting something like this, the majority of your flavor is coming from chicken. That's literally the only thing that's in here when it doesn't have the salt added. So actually you can make something that's a lot more close to bouillon by adding salt to this. And just don't expect to be getting the same product, a similar product from a dried bone broth as you are from a chicken bouillon, but you can make it work for sure. In fact, what I did was I put a little bit of the bone broth powder into my cup of bouillon, and now I have a really nice sipping broth that actually tastes really similar to homemade broth when I mix them both together and kind of use them both together. Next, I want to try these freeze-dried mango smoothie bites that were one of the samples from Harvest Right. So it just says freeze-dried blended mango. I thought they actually made a smoothie and freeze-dried it, but it looks like no sugar added. It looks like the only ingredients are freeze-dried mango. So what they did was just blend up mango and then made it into little bits, put it in a little mold. So here's what they look like. They smell pretty good. They smell like mango. Let's see. That's really, really good. We love freeze-dried mango. I think I was expecting these to be a little bit different, to be like a whole smoothie with maybe yogurt or milk or, but they're really, really, really tasty. This would be a really good snack for a toddler or a small child. They're very dissolvable in your mouth and super, super yummy and 100% mango. Of course, this is not something you can purchase other than just getting the free sample, but this is something that you could do on your own if you had a freeze dryer. Or if you don't have a freeze dryer, you can buy freeze-dried mango. Maybe you can buy smoothie bites somewhere. I haven't seen it, but freeze-dried mango, that was the only ingredient in these was mango. So I'm going to open these up and try these as well. So here is the freeze-dried mango. So you can see this one is actually a full slice of mango. I've got a smaller broken piece here too that I can test because I want a smaller bite. So you can see the contrast here between those and the smoothie bites. They've got the same exact ingredients. This one was just blended and made into a different shape in a mold. So I'm going to try one of these. Super, super tasty. Very good. So either way, you're getting 100% pure mango. And we cannot grow mango where we live. So I want to make sure that I would have access to this really nutritious fruit no matter what happens in emergencies and everything. And it's also really handy to have to snack on because this is just pure mango. All the nutrition is retained when it's freeze-dried. Because this is just pure mango, all the nutrition is retained when it's freeze-dried. This is just much easier to grab and eat. It's already been peeled and sliced for me. And I don't have to worry about it, getting soft and going by within a few days. So it's a really handy way to have healthy snacks on hand, fruit snacks, 100% fruit. And it's also good to have on hand for emergencies. These are both very tasty. We love mangoes in our house. Mango is a really healthy, nutritious fruit, and those were really, really tasty. I'm going to try this out. Well, I'm not actually going to try it. I just want to open this up and see what they look like on the inside. Oh, so there's 2 packs like this in here. This is a 6-pack. So this is the size of one of these. And it's got, this part is rigid. It's got the rigid opening. And then, of course, this is the bag that has the gel stuff inside that will absorb the liquid that goes in. And right here, you can't really see it, but right here is a zip top that you can use to close it back up after it's been used and throw it away. So yeah, these are for all genders, adults and children. This would be really great for traveling with children. Lots of different places that these might come in handy. And then that just tucks right back inside there. If you want to be able to carry this around with you, it doesn't take up too much space at all. And it even comes with a moist towelette for each one, which is really handy. Next, I'm going to try this Mexican street corn white rice. This is something that just gets microwaved or heated in a pan really easily. I love Mexican street corn anything. I love having easy side dishes to serve alongside. And if you were in an emergency, you could even just throw some chicken into something like this and kind of have an all-in-one dish. So I'm just going to cook it in the microwave for now because I do have electricity. The power's not out. So I'm going to go ahead and just tear this open. It usually says to squeeze the pouch to kind of separate the grains of rice a little bit. This feels pretty loose already anyway. So I gave that a little squeeze. I'm going to squeeze it down from the top and give it a tear. And then heat for 90 seconds. All right, this is cooked for a minute and a half, and then it says to let it set for 30 seconds. I'm going to use my fine china to taste this out. All right, so let's just get this opened all the way. Stir it up a little bit. Hot. All right, so here it is. It has that same smell as a lot of these pouch rices. I buy these quite a bit. They all seem to have the same smell. It doesn't have a really strong smell like a Mexican street corn or anything like that, but I'm going to give it a try and see how it is. That is pretty tasty. It's not really strongly flavored, like I mentioned. It's not really spicy or really strongly flavored kind of in any direction. It's not bad. It's just a little bit sort of bland. It just doesn't have a whole lot of special flavor. I would spice this up a little bit. I mean, it's got a little flavor, but it's not real different from a lot of different rice mixes. I would definitely spice this up with, I have a lot of different Mexican street corn seasonings. Maybe throw some crumbled cheese on here if you have it. And it would be a nice side dish to go along with the Mexican dish, but not really, really standout flavor on this one. It's definitely not a bad flavor. It's just not a lot of, unique flavor. The final thing that I want to try today is this Seriously Sharp Cabot Creamery shells and cheese. I just want to see how good this is, see if I want to buy some more. I only grabbed 2 because it was something that I hadn't tried before. I like to play it safe if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this up and we'll see how it is. All right, the macaroni's cooked. This kind of makes it seem like the butter is optional, which I don't think I'd want to do it without the butter. So I'm going to do the 3 tablespoons of milk and the 2 tablespoons of butter. All right, I've got my 2 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of milk in here. I've got my cheese packet. Now, I don't usually measure the butter and milk when I make macaroni and cheese. I just kind of, I've done it so many times that I just dump in what looks right. But because I'm testing this one out and it's a new brand, I just wanted to measure it to make it, exact. So if I didn't like it, I could blame it on the macaroni and cheese and not on my inattention to the instructions. Sometimes I'll also put this back on the heat just to kind of thicken the sauce up a little bit. They always do shells with white cheddar, but I feel like with shells it's difficult because you get little pockets of cheese sauce stuck inside of the shells sometimes, and it's hard to get it mixed in properly. I guess if I was really fancy, I could have done the buttermilk and cheese powder together and then mixed in the macaroni, but that seems like way too much work for box mac and cheese. All right, let's give it a try and see if this is different and better than your typical white shells and cheese. That does definitely have that sharper cheddar taste, like that. Seriously Sharp, which is a cheese that we really like. So this is definitely pretty good. It's been a while since I had like an Annie's shells and cheese, shells and white cheddar, but I do think this has a little bit of a different flavor, and it's a really good flavor. It's not like super, super different than your typical mac and cheese, but if you get a good price on this or you really like that, I think that's really good. And of course, it doesn't have any of the bright orange coloring that a lot of the box mac and cheeses have, which probably isn't a good thing. So this is really good. This definitely has more flavor than your average mac and cheese, which is really nice change of pace. That's everything we've added to our preps and our prepper pantry lately. Let me know down in the comments, what's your biggest prepping concern as we head into winter? If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me an American flag down in the comments and check out this video next for some more prepping tips. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.